Okay, Julia, what's tip number 3, please?
Right, number 3 is, in the words of Bananarama, I'm really showing my age now, it ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it. And that's what gets results. And again, Joe Morgan, huge influence on my practice. Compendium of Mathematical Methods, you can see the post-it notes in that one, the little notes, etc. Joe tells us that there are few, if any, longitudinal studies providing evidence that one approach is superior to another. It's left to you to determine which are the best methods, and she goes in at detail about how you can then relay this within a maths team to find the ones that you're commonly going to use with each other. I get slated sometimes for some of my mathematical approaches when I put my mathematical marigolds on, and I don't care, to be honest, because you know, if you've got a student that can't do it one way and they've got to year 10, year 11, they've seen adding fractions or subtracting fractions since primary school, and yet here they are, they still can't get over that hump, it's time for you to say, I don't think you learn it like that, have you seen this method? It might be a trick, it might be a framework that they can use, but it has a value, it seriously has a value. It's chicken and egg. Because actually encouraging someone to be able to do something that they couldn't do before does lead to some curiosity. Right, I can do it like that. You know, I've had learners that get really annoyed when you show them alternative methods. I've never been shown that way. How could I have got to this and no one's bothered to show me that way? I can do it like that. What's going on? How does that work? The curiosity can come afterwards. John Hattie tells us, you know, it's our job as teachers to teach people. If they can't do it one way, we've got to find another way, or another way, or another way. But the important thing about the alternative method kind of debate is it isn't for us to like or dislike a method. As maths teachers, we should have a mathematical toolbox, and you know, a virtual mathematical toolbox full of every which way you can methods. Again, another reference there to Clint Eastwood, 80s references, sorry. You know, Pam Harris on Twitter, every week she has alternative methods. How do you do this? She posts something up, and all around the world educators take part, and it's absolutely brilliant because it develops your curiosity, it enables you to reconsider maths, revision the maths. You do it your way, but actually, oh, I've never seen it like that. That looks quite good. It's about finding efficiencies. I'm really, really good at long division, column, you know, algorithm, absolutely brilliant. But I'm much better and quicker using the ratio table now. Why wouldn't I want to use that? I was much quicker using Napier's bones. Why wouldn't I want to use that method rather than being pushed into a method which we know for a lot of our learners is a key difficulty. We do have an ideal opportunity with the current iteration of the GCSE to explore a multitude of mathematical methods, as Joe refers to them. We know from the awarding body guidance that any valid mathematical method gets the marks. So we need to get out the whiteboards. We need to share 18 times 5. How would you do it? Can you do it another way? Can you do it another way? We need to use that as part of our initial assessment, I feel. Use the visualizer, explore the wonderful world of TikTok. I've already mentioned the Alternative Methods TikTok channel, which is coming. And we just need to engage in that veritable feast of maths, any which way that you can. It's you know, it really is. We've got an ideal opportunity in secondary. They haven't got that freedom in primary. And I think that's a real shame because some of those methods are, it's matching the child to the method, but unless you've got that mathematical toolbox at your disposal where you have an open mind to the approaches, I don't care if I get the marigolds out, if I, you know, writing all over the glass or on the tabletops, or you know, it doesn't matter. Any valid mathematical method gains the marks.
I like it, right? I mean, I have to ask, what are these marigolds, Julia? What are we talking about here?
Oh, I've got some over there in the kitchen. So it's the hand multiplication method. I mean, there's some wonderful videos on TikTok for it. It's about the 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 times table, putting them together. It's not the 9s where we drop the fingers, but it's an absolutely brilliant method, hand multiplication method. There are some great there's some people far better than me on the YouTube that can demonstrate that one. But it's a really good way for times tables, just quickly being able to calculate 7 times 8 or 7 times 9, 8 times 9. After a while of using the hand multiplication method, I've used it for years and years and years when I was teaching in college with all my students. After a while, you see them drop in the hands because it's gone from short term. It's just that repetition. It doesn't matter how we do it. Mark McCourt talks about there's no single one activity that will lead to that full fluency in times tables. It's about exposure.
Will you just show us like 7 multiplied by 8?
Right, so I'd have done my nails if I don't know, not that I've got any. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yep.
So on both sides it means that I can multiply an 8, which is 6, 7, 8
Yep.
times a 7.
Yep.
So 6 and 7. I can multiply those two together. Those two form a bridge.
Yep.
The fingers on the bridge, so I've got 2 fingers on the bridge, and the fingers above the bridge are all 10s. They all represent 10. So I'm doing 7 times 8, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50.
Nice.
And then below the bridge, I've got 2 on one side times 2 on the other. 2 times 3 is 6. So 7 8s are 56.
Got it.
Students with memory issues, we need lots of these different methods. We have the knuckles method, don't we, for January, how many days are in each month,
yes.
January, February, March and April. So we have the 9s, you see learners doing that. So we have to be mindful of students with additional learning needs as well. That's where the alternative methods, I think, is really key as well. But we need to be mindful, that it is our job. If they can't do it one way, there's no point in keep forcing them to that method.
Yes.
Adding and subtracting fractions for some learners can be learned in 2 minutes using the fraction frame. And it's time to say, I don't think you learn it like that. Have you seen this method?
I like this, and I particularly like the fact that, as you say, 2 things can happen as a result of this. One, like with the fingers, eventually they don't need the fingers. But 2, I really like this idea that it can lead to curiosity. They've been successful with this method, so now they're curious why it works. You would not get that curiosity if we keep hammering this same method that they don't get. I think that's really important. And just to follow up to that, we're big Twitter users, both of us. When somebody, I don't ever post any alternate method these days. You're a lot braver than me, because you get people in who haven't seen the context and like, well, you can't use that, you should be doing this, this and this. And of course, with in the ideal world, we'd start from year 7, we'd introduce, methods really slowly and so on, but by the time they get to GCSE resit, they need something that works. So context is so important with this, which brings me to my final point about this, and this is a bad question for you, Julie, but I'll just chuck it in the mix anyway. Is there such a thing as a bad method? Is there a method that you wouldn't show students? And I'm not talking about wrong methods here, but is there a method that kind of works, but for whatever reason you think, I'm not going to go there with that one?
It's a difficult one. In my experience, year 10, year 11, I was head of maths in a secondary school. I've been head of maths in a PRU, pupil referral unit, and I've done a lot of work in post-16. I was head of maths for over a decade in the local FE college. It's about the learner and the outcome. If I need to get a learner to be able to comprehend the difference between mean, median and mode, for example, hey diddle diddle, the median's the middle, you add and divide for the mean. The poem will get them the mark that they need to be successful with finding the mean of a set of numbers or the median of a set of numbers. What it won't do is it won't develop that understanding and that comprehension of, if the mean is 5 or 4 numbers is 5, what might the numbers be? That's a separate piece of work. But if it's about grabbing those 1-mark questions because they're over a grade 3 but need the grade 4 for whatever reason, for progression onto another course, or simply leaving school at year 11 and going into college to get onto the level 2 course, because quite a few won't get on the course at the particular level because they're held back by their maths and English ability here. Then I think I've got the analogy there with, I can never remember how to spell necessary, and I always have to say, never eat cake, eat salad sandwiches and remain young. Rhythm helps your 2 hips move. What is the difference? What's the difference in being able to spell correctly, which makes me look quite professional, then, in using mnemonics, acronyms, whatever it is, if it works to gain that stickability from the short term into the longer memory, then it's the right method to use.
Okay.
I'm going to get slated now.
I love it. That's brilliant.